Philadelphia News, team of my heart.
Trade talks are heating up. Could the Sixers shake up the 2025 NBA draft by targeting Dylan Harper? Or is sticking with pick no 3 the smarter move? In today's Sixers news, I break down the real reason behind this strategy shift. Trade buzz. Draft moves, don't miss it. You've been patient. You've stuck by this team through heartbreaks, setbacks, and seasons that left you shaking your head at the screen. And now, after another year derailed by Joel Embiid's injury and Paul George missing key games, you're asking the same painful question again. What's next? You've heard the chatter. You've read the rumors. The Sixers hold the no 3 pick. But what does that even mean anymore if you don't see real change? You've been here long enough to know Philly doesn't settle for mediocrity. Not on Broad Street, not at the Wells Fargo Center, and definitely not on draft night. That's why all eyes are now locked in onto words. Dylan Harper. He's not just a name. He's the kind of talent that makes you wonder if the front office will finally stop playing it safe and make a bold move. But here's the sting, the Sixers. You know how they think. And there's hesitation in the air. Why? Because this isn't just about Harper. It's about something deeper. You feel it too, don't you? The fear of wasting Maxey's prime. The uncertainty around Embiid's body holding up for another playoff run. You're tired of the almosts. You don't want another draft filled with buzzwords and empty hope. You want a plan. You want action. And more than anything, you want a direction. That proves this team is building something real around Tyrese Maxey. So let's cut the fluff. The Sixers have the no 3 pick. And while some voices want them to trade up to for Harper, there's a reason why that might not happen. You already know they've been eyeing Ace Bailey, the high-flying, shot-creating forward out of Rutgers. A player who fits what you've been screaming about all season: length, athleticism, and upside on the wing. But here's where the trade conversation gets messy. The Sixers' backcourt is crowded, with Maxey at the center of it all, and promising. Youth like Jared McCain knocking on the door. Bringing in another high-usage guard like Harper could create more confusion than clarity. And you've seen this story before. Stack up similar players, then wonder why the chemistry never clicks. That's why analysts, and maybe deep down, even you, believe Philly might just hold steady. No dramatic leap. No franchise-shaking trade. Just a focused draft pick at no 3. Likely Bailey, who checks the boxes for a young core that badly needs a forward who can stretch the floor and grow into a star alongside Maxey. You know the Sixers have missed on too many opportunities to build long-term. This pick isn't just another shot in the dark. It's a statement. You want to see a blueprint that finally makes sense, one that balances youth with leadership. That stops relying on if Embiid stays healthy and instead builds for a future that doesn't collapse the moment he's out of the lineup. And the trade rumors? You've heard them swirling. The whispers about packaging the pick, possibly sending it to a team higher up in the draft. But what do you really gain by mortgaging flexibility for a shot at Harper when you already have a backcourt leader who's becoming the face of the franchise? Let's be real, you're not just interested in names. You want fit. You want a roster that looks like it was built with a purpose. Maxey, Bailey, McCain, Bona. Counsel for these guys could give you something you haven't seen in Philly in years. A hungry, young nucleus that can actually grow together. And Nick Nurse? He's no stranger to maximizing what he's got. Give him fresh legs, a stretch forward with defensive instincts. And you might finally start watching a Sixers team that doesn't break down in May. You're not asking for another trust the process promise. You're demanding results. So, where do you stand on this? Are you all in for a bold trade to snag Harper? Or do you believe in building smart around Maxey with the no 3 pick? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear what you would do if you were in the war room. With that clock ticking down on draft night, you're still here because you care. Because you know what it feels like to be let down by potential. You've seen picks wasted, trades that backfired, and timelines stretched so thin you could feel them snap. That's why this draft, this moment, it hits different. You've got Maxey, you've got Embiid, even if the clock's ticking, and now you've got leverage. So what are the Sixers going to do with it? Let's talk strategy, not pipe dreams, not fan fiction, real basketball decisions. You've heard the trade whispers for Dylan Harper, but here's what's really going on. The Sixers aren't just watching Harper. They're watching the entire structure of their roster. They're thinking long-term fit, not short-term flash. Because you don't just throw Maxey and Harper together and expect magic. This isn't a video game. This is spacing. This is touches. This is who controls the pace, and you already have your answer. Tyrese Maxey. You know Maxey. He's not just your favorite player. He's become the franchise. He's grown in every area. Scoring, leadership, toughness. You watched him play through adversity when the lights were the brightest. And now the front office has one job: give him the right pieces. Not competition, not overlapping talent, complementary support. That's where Ace Bailey changes the conversation. Bailey brings what this team's been starving for: size on the perimeter, defensive versatility. The kind of player who doesn't clog the lane or demand the ball to make an impact. He's not a flashy guard trying to find his place. He's a natural fit alongside Maxey. That's why a lot of scouts are saying Philly's best move might be the simplest one: stay put at no or 3. But you're not blind. You see the holes. You know Embiid can't carry the load forever. Paul George looked elite when healthy, but when healthy has become a punchline, not a plan. That's why the idea of trading up for Harper is tempting. It feels aggressive. It feels like action. But feelings don't win titles. Structure does. And structure starts with picking the right guy to fill the right need, not just grabbing the biggest name on the board. And it's not like Philly's standing still. Behind the scenes, they're working phones, checking on trade value, seeing who's bluffing. Because even if they don't trade up for Harper, the Sixers are still exploring moves. You've heard Sixers news and trade rumors swirling for weeks. There's real pressure from ownership to get this right. They don't want another wasted year on Embiid's contract. You don't either. Still, there's a new energy coming into this draft. This isn't the same Sixers front office that clung to the past. They're more calculated now. They're focused on sustainability. And that means more than just one flashy pick. It means setting up Maxey with a supporting cast that will mature with him. It means preparing for the possibility that Embiid won't always be there. That George might only have one more season of top-tier play in him. That's why you've seen so much noise around the younger guys on the roster too. Jared McCain? This kid has upside. Reggie Council 4, a slasher who's growing in confidence. Adam Bona, already showing he can hold his own in the paint. These aren't just background names. These are building blocks if you play it right. You want excitement? Look at the potential lineup: Maxey, McCain, Bailey, Council, Bona. That's not just a lineup for the future. That's a unit you can grow with. That's a group that, with the right veteran guidance and a clear plan, can turn into a playoff problem for the rest of the league. You don't want another one-and-done squad. You want consistency. You want identity. And what about Nick Nurse? You trust him. You've seen what he did in Toronto. He knows how to develop young pieces. He knows how to create defensive schemes that win playoff games. But he can't build a system if the front office keeps handing him mismatched parts. This draft is their chance to fix that. So now you're looking at it clearly. You've got a top 3 pick. You've got trade leverage. You've got a core that's young, motivated, and hungry. The question isn't just who to pick. The question is whether the Sixers are finally ready to stop chasing names and start building something real. What would you do? Is Harper the missing piece? Or is Bailey the better long-term fit? And how do you see Maxey's role evolving if another high-usage guard comes in? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know how you would shape this team if the draft was in your Hands. You're still thinking about it, right? Because deep down, you know this draft isn't just another draft. This is your franchise at a turning point. No more second chances. No more hiding behind injuries. This offseason is where you either commit to building something sustainable, or you risk watching another season slip through your hands before it even begins. So let's get real. You've got the no 3 pick. That's not a maybe. That's a golden ticket. You didn't tank for it. You got it while trying to compete. And now you can't waste it. You've heard the Sixers news. You've heard the trade talks. But all of it comes down to one thing: identity. What kind of team do you want the Sixers to be? Because when you break it down, Dylan Harper is a special talent. He's got that killer instinct. He's got the pedigree. You can't ignore that. But he's also ball dominant. He's not a secondary scorer. He's a lead guard. And you already have that in Maxey. That's where things get messy. You bring Harper in, and suddenly you're reworking everything: your spacing, your tempo, your pecking order. That's not team building. That's fitting a square peg in a round hole just because the name sounds good on draft night. But Ace Bailey, now that's a move that makes sense. He's smooth. He's athletic. He plays above the rim. And most importantly, he doesn't need the ball in his hands 24/7. He can run with Maxey. He can defend the wing. He can switch onto multiple positions. That's value. That's fit. That's what you build around. And don't act like you haven't seen this mistake before. Remember when the Sixers drafted for talent instead of fit? Markelle Fultz next to Ben Simmons? That didn't work. Joel Okafor in a front court already stacked with bigs. Disaster. You don't want to relive that. You want smarter decisions. Decisions that complement, not clash. And while you're watching the draft board, you also need to watch the locker room, because this team's energy is shifting. You've got a veteran like Kyle Lowry. Maybe he's not the player he was, but he knows the game. You've got Paul George, who still commands respect when healthy. You've got Andre Drummond, a rebounding machine who can still dominate the glass. These guys aren't here for vibes. They're here to mentor. But they can only do that if the foundation is stable. So picture this: Maxey leading the offense, Bailey stretching the floor, McCain coming off the bench with a spark, Uber Jr. still bringing that toughness on the wing, and Bona locking down the paint. That's not just depth. That's cohesion. That's chemistry. That's how you win in today's NBA. Now imagine if you mess that up. Imagine giving up assets to chase Harper, only to find yourself with 2 guards trying to run the same offense. You're not just gambling with a draft pick. You're gambling with the identity of your team, with the culture you've tried to rebuild since the process collapsed under its own weight. That's why the smartest move might not be the flashiest one. That's why this front office can't just listen to noise. They need to trust their blueprint. Maxey's not just a piece anymore. He's the piece. And whoever you draft, trade for, or develop, it has to revolve around him. So now it's your turn. You've read the rumors. You've seen the mock drafts. You've heard all the Sixers news and trade scenarios being thrown around. But what do you think? If you were in that war room, would you trade up for Dylan Harper and risk crowding the backcourt? Or would you stay at no 3, grab a versatile wing like Ace Bailey, and give Maxey the space to lead? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want to be the first to get every Sixers news and trade update, you have to hit that subscribe button and smash the bell. Because the next move Philly makes, it could define the next 5 years of your franchise. And you don't want to miss a single second.